What's up, Van Fam? So we always try to be straight and honest with y'all, and we got to be honest and say we're struggling a little bit.
Yeah. So in this video, we're going to talk about some of the struggles of van life and how we cope with them.
So for me, the biggest struggle living in a van is not feeling grounded, right? Not feeling at home, even though we take our home wherever we go. Because we're always traveling, so we're always in unfamiliar places, seeing unfamiliar things. It's really easy to not feel very grounded.
So when do you feel grounded, or like when have you felt grounded in the past?
So for me, when I'm meditating, consistently, I always feel at home when I do that wherever I go, right? So if I'm in a new space, if I kind of set a little meditation nook for myself or have a consistent meditation practice, it helps me feel more grounded at home. And the good news is the roof deck is a really nice spot to meditate, especially sitting over a beautiful overlook like we're at right now. That's something I do to help me feel grounded, when living in a van.
Yeah, I think a big part of it is just doing things that kind of feel familiar.
Yeah.
So you feel like, yes, you're still the same person that you were, even though you're traveling all the time. So for me, just things like working out, it's something familiar. I try to do it almost every day. So gym we go to, Anytime Fitness, they're all pretty much the same. So it kind of has that familiar feel to it.
Yeah. I feel like for you too, routines are very important. So waking up and going to the gym every day, or because it's really easy for your schedule to always be thrown off. Every new place you're at, it's a totally new routine. So sticking to a consistent routine, no matter where you are, I feel like grounds you.
Which is pretty much impossible in a van.
Yeah.
But it's an ambition, and it does help when. That's why one of the things we do is we'll settle into an area for a while, maybe a week or 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And that kind of gets us into a routine, like we'll go to the same places, wake up at the same places. So that kind of makes it feel a little bit more like grounded and normal. Another struggle with van life is really just a small space and feeling stuck inside here. It's not something I hear a lot of people talk about, but the reality is this is a small space in a van, and I really don't think humans are supposed to live in this small of a space. And the point of van life really is to live out of your van, to go seek the adventures, to go get into the wild and see some amazing places. And it's very easy to forget that. We found ourselves some days, it's at the end of the day, and we realized we spent all day in the van besides taking the dog for a walk, and that just doesn't feel healthy to us. So we really push ourselves to get out, go into a coffee shop if we're in a town, or better yet, if we are able to get out in nature, go out for a long hike, spend time outside, put the chairs outside, and just enjoy living out of the van and not in the van so much.
One of the big struggles for me is feeling alone and isolated. When you're in a community for a long time, you build supports and relationships and friendships. And when you're in a van, we have friends all over the country, but driving from one point to another point, it's easy just for it to be us, unless we really make a concerted effort to get out there and connect. One cool thing is, there are a ton of apps now, like the Seeker app, where you can connect to other van lifers locally and hang out with them. We make a point of always going to meetups or going to expos just so we can hang out and chill with other van people, but also regularly Skyping our friends and family from back home just to make sure we always feel connected.
I think one of the biggest struggles overall, like a very broad problem with van life, is that before we did van life, we were watching a lot of YouTube videos and a lot of Instagram, and I'm laughing because we're kind of feeding that system right now as YouTubers, and it all looks so fun and glamorous. We only make videos the days that we're out exploring, out hiking, out having adventures, and those are all the videos we saw. But the truth is, it's not like that all the time. A lot of times we're just sitting around like you would in a house. You can't have adventures every single day. So those days when we're just sitting in a parking lot on our computers doing work, or even have nothing to do, those days kind of stink.
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of people who don't do van life full time, the great thing about that is if you have a house, you live your life and then you go off on these adventures in your van or your RV, and it's like concentrated fun. Like, that whole time you're doing that, it's going to be fun. But for us, like, we don't have a house to go back to. So we're coming back to the van and just chilling out in this small space where we drive each other crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of which.
Yeah, relationships are hard in a van. But ultimately, the silver lining is you have no choice but to get closer together, because you have to work things out in real time. Otherwise, we always say one of us is going to wind up on the side of an interstate somewhere. So you have to work things out, but it's another difficult thing, because being in a small space, it amplifies the intensity of everything. So if Paul's feeling like a little annoyed, or if I'm feeling a little aggravated, in a bigger house, you don't necessarily feel that energy as strongly, right? If you can go to your own room and just chill out. But in this, you feel every little emotion, every little thing that comes up. So you're just constantly having to address it and work on communication.
And that's the biggest struggle for me, is not having that space, because I'm a person who, like, if I was in a house, my ideal morning is I get up by myself, I'd probably take the dog out, and then get into my little corner somewhere, have my breakfast, journal, read, whatever. Probably just watch YouTube on my phone, if I'm being honest. But I'd be by myself, that's the point. And
I wake up and I'm like, whoa, let's have fun. Hey, how are you? How's it going? I love you. Let's go play.
Yeah.
No.
And you know, like when you're small space, you're bumping into each other, and they're not, the other person's not doing anything wrong, but they just start to annoy you, because like, you're in my way, dude. Just give me some space. You can't do that in a van. There's no space to be given, so
It's true.
It's a struggle. But like Chad said, I think it's brought us closer together, forced to work things out, and we do. So
Yeah.
it's great. But another struggle that's very similar to that I have is just the lack of autonomy, is how I would call it. So, you know, some mornings I wake up and like, I want to go to the gym right away. And Chad doesn't. He likes to go in the afternoon. So like, we only have one car, and it's our van, and it's where we live, so we have to always be compromising, always agreeing, and you don't always get what you want.
Yeah.
And it's a struggle. Like, I just want to be able to go and do my own thing, and I can't do that.
Yeah, it's true. And time-wise, and even location-wise, every place we go is a decision that we have to make. Every route that we take, every turn that we take. So there's so many opportunities for disagreements. So you really have to work out a system that enables you to communicate and compromise. Otherwise, it's going to turn into a living hell pretty quickly.
Yeah, and it honestly has for us. There have been times days where we just, you know, one of us was compromising, not telling the other one. We just started getting annoyed, and it just builds. It can build really fast in this pressure cooker of a van.
Yeah.
So
one thing I feel like that helps with that is whenever we feel like our relationship is getting a little bit tense or a little bit stretched, then we'll get like an Airbnb for a weekend or something like that. And I feel like once we have just that physical space, all of that tension kind of just melts away, right?
yeah, that makes a big difference, and we're not afraid to admit that. We'll get Airbnbs, we'll crash at friends' places or family for a weekend, or even some hotels, and that's necessary, and we're happy to do that sometimes.
Also massages and hot springs, if you're feeling any type of way, they will guaranteed soothe your soul. So
For sure.
So if you want, hop on down into the comment section, and if you live in a van, I'd love to hear what some of your struggles are. And if you're not living in a van, but you want to live in a van, think about what type of struggles might come up for you.
And if you are struggling, let us know how you deal with that, because we're always looking for suggestions and tips as well.
Yeah. But if you like this video, make sure to gently tap that like button. If you didn't like it, give us a thumbs down, but make sure to hit it twice so we know just how much you didn't like it. And subscribe for more questionable van life content. And if you want to see how big this beard's going to get, make sure to click that bell notification so you get notified when we have a new video. You can assess the state of my beard yourself. Until next time.